And he showers his friends and families with gifts. He's generous. No one ever asked him for help, and nobody ever leaves empty-handed. But generosity unchecked, paired with lavish spending and risky investments, soon, boom, drains the fortune. Peace out, gone. Well, imagine this.
Tell us.
Okay. A young man from Oakland, California, Stanley Kirk Burrell. He claws his way out of poverty with pure talent and relentless drive. He dazzles audience with a style the world has never seen before. Think pants. And almost overnight, he becomes a household name. Money pours in by the tens of millions. And at his peak, he's worth more than, drumroll, $70 million. 70, baby.
Oh, he's set.
Yeah, you don't worry about it.
He's
He's
set.
set, right? You got $70 million.
Right.
He buys mansions. He employs 200 people.
Oh, that's a lot of employees.
Crazy. Well, this is all
big enterprise.
ChatGPT, but I'm pretty sure it's right.
Plus taxes.
Plus taxes. Like, what? You're right.
Plus taxes.
And he showers his friends and families with gifts. He's generous. No one ever asked him for help, and nobody ever leaves empty-handed. But generosity unchecked, paired with lavish spending and risky investments, soon, boom, drains the fortune. Peace out, gone.
Loving.
Right?
Where are we going with
And in less than a decade, bankruptcy replaces fame.
Ooh,
A rise to the heights, followed by a crushing fall.
that's sad.
It is. It's awful. And so that, my friends, is the story of Stanley Kirk Burrell, better known as MC Hammer.
Can't touch this.
Can't touch this.
Oh, that I do remember that. That is. You know,
Very famous.
that story
Yeah.
always stuck with me because you're just like, how does that
How?
happen?
Crazy. So we're here today to talk to Manny Valdez. Thank you for being here
Thank you.
about how not to do this.
How not?
Right?
To do
How
that?
not? How does this not happen?
How does this not happen? Well, everyone, welcome to Unseen Impact, where we look at how personal injury can disrupt lives, and we kind of talk with people to glimpse into the unseen aspect of it, to give you a little sneak peek into that, and hopefully leave you with some tools on how not to lose $70 million. And so, as Carrie said, I'm Rory. I'm the host of Unseen Impact, the co-host, along with my beautiful co-host, Carrie.
Hello.
And today, she's right, we have Manny Valdez of Ringler & Associates. And Manny, welcome.
Yay. Thank you for being here, man.
So, just real quick, Manny, we'll get into your background because I really want to hear about it. But just what is it that you do?
Well, we're part of a system here in the country where you are or can be reimbursed for an injury that is not of your making. And that injury, whether it is physical or non-physical, you will be entitled to X dollars based on a jury verdict or a settlement of any sorts. So
We're talking about structured settlement.
yes, we are.
Okay. All right. And so for those who may not know what that means, what is it? What is a structured settlement?
Sure. It was originally developed in the 50s. It was a tax code that actually the defense industry kind of was pushing more than anything.
The insurance defense.
The insurance defense company. And the reason for that was they were talking about present dollars versus future dollars. So if you're dealing with a claim and the claim is worth $100,000, but they wanted $500,000 for this person as an example, as a demand, you could put $100,000 in present value and pay out $500,000 over time. Now the code, and the code here was the most important because the issue really related to the ability to receive those dollars tax-free.
Tax-free.
Tax-free, both
means
federal
it's-
and state.
So that means it's your $1 is worth $1.20 to $1.35 to maybe even $1.40 each dollar.
Depending on the longevity of your life expectancy. And that's how the industry really got started, is that carriers were getting hit with big verdicts back in the day.
Yeah.
And so their strategy was, hey, why don't we develop this product and convince the courts and the Internal Revenue Service that this is good because it would secure future payments for the injured party.
Well, you know what's kind of funny about that? I guess I didn't know where it came from because as the personal injury attorney, typically we think, hey, if the other side comes up with it, they're there just to mess with us. But I have seen it. We have worked together, and it is amazing what this can do.
Wait, I have a quick question though, because I'm not clear on one thing. So does it mean that the insurance company is like, okay, so say the injured person gets $500,000, they say that's what they get. In the 50s when they came up with this, did the insurance company say, okay, but we're only going to pay $100,000, but it goes into this thing and you will eventually get 500? Do you know what I mean? Was it something that would benefit them that way?
Yeah, because you got to remember, when a carrier is losing or has to put the loss on their books, it counts against their reserves. So if I'm only putting $100,000 against my reserve versus $500,000 against my reserve, then it's certainly giving me more leverage to settle cases very quickly and cheaply.
That word I was just thinking about, leverage, but I think that leverage, if you think about kind of like a teeter-totter, it's a leverage that can lift both sides, right? Yeah. So for the insurance company, if they say, hey, we have a case that we can settle, we don't want to pay more than $100,000. As you're saying, the other side wants $500,000. So we're going to pay it into this structure. It's going to be $100,000. But for everybody, the plaintiff then gets $500,000 over 10 years, 20 years, whatever the term might be. And so these are set. So the moment a structure is in place, the receiving party, the plaintiff, the injured party knows exactly down to the penny what they're going to get and the timeframes in which you're going to get it, right?
That's correct. Now, one problem that started way back in the day is that when I started in the business, I was the first plaintiff side person of the structure to represent a plaintiff attorney because all the structured settlement brokers represented the defendant, defense insurance company, and so on and so on. So the strategy was there was a carrier here in San Diego named Industrial Indemnity. The case was very clear what the intention was on the plaintiff side in order to settle the matter. Huh. So they did a portion of the fee, of course, for the settlement, and the other portion was a structured settlement over time. Yeah. So they only showed them a piece of paper, and they said, "Here it is. Here's the paper," and so forth and so on. And so when I picked up the paper, I calculated. I had a little HP 12 calculator back then that just came out by Hewlett Packard, and I started hitting some numbers. And next thing I know, I kept thinking, maybe I'm hitting the wrong interest rate over time. Let me just keep double checking. And sure enough, they were coming up $50,000 short in present value.
Really?
Why?
Because the plaintiff wouldn't know.
Yeah.
He just said, he would just say, here it is. Here's the distribution. Take it. And so I called my plaintiff attorney over and I said, hey, you got to have lunch. So we had lunch and came back and I explained it to him. He goes, really? I said, yeah. So he goes, when we go back in the mediation, back in the day, he says, go right up to the defense guy and show him your calculator, see how you came up with that number.
Right.
And so I, hit boom, 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 interest rate times, and so forth.
Yeah.
And it was 50 grand short. And the guy looks at me and he goes, I must have hit a wrong number. Yeah.
I must have hit a wrong number.
Yeah, I say you're right. You probably did. But you guys owe my guy another 50 grand. And so they settled it for 50 grand. Yeah. Now, at the time, I couldn't earn any dollars from that transaction because I was not a broker. Yeah. Okay.
Wait, so what were you at the time then?
I was an insurance agent.
Oh, you were an insurance agent. Okay.
I started in the medical field first.
So how did you get to this? This is kind of a wild, it's
right? I know.
Wow. Yeah, so, you think about in first grade, you're like, I want to be a fireman. I want to be a police officer. I want to be a nurse. I'm going to be a structured settlement broker.
That wasn't the case. I actually started working for the county public health department here in San Diego.
Okay.
And I was a public health educator for them.
Oh,
interesting.
And then I went to work for the feds. In the meantime, I was going to college.
Okay.
Okay. So I got my bachelor's in health sciences, and I started my master's degree in San Jose State, and I got my master's in public health.
Oh.
So then I started
Hey,
working
me
for the
too.
feds. Yeah, yeah. And I started working for the feds. Their department was at that time Department of Health and Welfare.
Okay.
And so I worked for them 2 or 3 years, and then I jumped over to the UCSD School of Medicine, Department of Pediatrics. Now remember, this is all in the medical field.
Yeah.
I had started again my second master's in San Diego State and in public health administration.
Go Aztecs.
Yeah, yeah, and
I didn't know that.
yeah, and so
You know, Carrie has her master's in public health administration from San Diego State.
you want to work for me, Karen?
Absolutely. Sounds good. Let's do
So
it.
what happened was, of course, working in the medical field, you always have a sensitivity about people,
Right.
And Carrie. So I was always a volunteer for these nonprofit boards, and I would sit on some of these boards with attorneys, and they would say, "Oh, Manny, hey, you're really smart one, buddy. You know, hit that number or bring your calculator."
Yeah, yeah.
So-
Bring that HP.
Bring that HP, man.
And so it seemed to be always a treasurer for the nonprofits. So that's when I met this one attorney. He then invited me to this. He says, "Hey, just come with me. I just want to know what they're really throwing at me."
Okay.
And he says, "I'll pay you X dollars." And I said, "Okay."
So you weren't going as the structured settlement
No,
guy. You're
no.
just going. You're
I was
basically a consultant.
Oh yeah, I was his friend, by the way.
You just had a fancy calculator.
Yeah, and I was his friend, and we were actually him and I were in Vietnam together. So
Okay.
so we were there, and the mediation transpired like it did. He gets his extra 50, and he pays me more money
Hey.
because he said my client won,
Yeah.
I won, and
Yeah.
I'm going to pay you more out of my share.
Good for you.
So I'm thinking, wait a minute here.
Ding, ding, ding.
That
ding,
was,
ding.
you know,
Highlight.
Yeah, that's what really triggered it.
Wow.
Well, one thing I want to stop about is that, you know, although we're talking money here, and some of the stuff we're going to dive into is about that this is more than money, right? This is about trying to make the person whole. And so really what you're saying is you have this, you know, common thing, David versus Goliath. You have this Goliath insurance company that is really shortchanging the attorney and, more importantly, shortchanging the client
At that time,
at that time.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
And for years, almost 15 years, my industry at the time was called the National Structured Settlement Trade Association, which exists today.
Oh, okay. Are you still part of it?
Well, they wouldn't let me in for 16 years.
No way. Oh, I love a good scandal.
As he's charging them more.
Oh,
He's-
my
he's
God.
putting them on?
Because I was representing plaintiffs.
Okay.
You're
yeah.
kidding, really?
Everybody was on the defense side.
Interesting.
And so because I decided to represent the parties, the
Yeah.
personal injury
Yeah,
parties,
right.
those that are injured and those that are in need, right?
Yeah.
They said, "Oh, no, you're out. You're not going to get membership in our association."
Isn't that interesting?
That's crazy.
And so from that point in time, the industry would not let me have access to certain structured settlement insurance companies. So I had to go outside
You had to
by myself, had to find carriers, had to convince them that I could give them X dollars in a year, in premium.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got some really nice carriers, most of them out of New York, and I started doing what I did. In the meantime, my cadre of attorneys kept growing.
Wow.
I bet.
I asked one attorney to introduce me to another, and
Right,
another, and so forth.
So wait, so this is like a very interesting side hustle, because at what point did you decide to stop having your other professional job with, were you still at UCSD when this all first started?
No,
Okay.
I didn't make the transition until I knew I wanted to go into it full time.
Right, right.
And I had saved some money,
Yeah.
just in case for that risk factor.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
bold. That takes some brass.
Right?
Well, I hope it was well worth it. It was.
yeah, now look.
Yeah.
But
so-
that's such an interesting side hustle.
and you just have to go after what you're wanting.
Right,
like,
right. Sure.
So people were getting screwed.
Yeah,
Yeah, they get
totally.
screwed.
Yeah, they are.
And so now was a chance to, hey, my attorney clients, they said, "Oh man, this is great, man, you're giving us." But here's the deal: for that period of time, the defendants continued to not disclose the actual number.
Really?
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, because if I was supposed to pay 600,000, the 650, and you only paid 600, they wouldn't tell me exactly what the present value of that number was. I had to calculate it myself, and their reasoning was this. They came back and said, "Oh, if we tell you what our number is, it's in violation of constructive receipt law by the Internal Revenue Service."
Wait,
Because-
construction receipt law.
Constructive.
Oh, constructive receipt law.
In other words, you would have knowledge of the number.
You have knowledge of the number, and that's constructive receipt.
Yes.
So real quick, how this
What
all
is that?
works is,
Yeah.
so for instance, let's say we settle a case for $1 million,
Right.
and the plaintiff is going to get $1 million, big payday, right?
Right.
Your typical settlement is we come to an agreement, we sign a release, the insurance company sends a check to Rory Law for the benefit of client. I go to my client trust account, I deposit that money into the client trust account. I have constructive receipt of the money. We've got the money.
Yes.
Yeah.
The client has the money. And so what the IRS says, and now this makes a lot more sense.
Okay.
The IRS code, because the insurance industry didn't want this, the IRS code says neither the attorney nor the client can come into receipt or here constructive receipt, right? Because what constructive receipt means is it's our tricky word for making sure we can say you got it.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And so it's their way of saying that's wild. So right now what happens, we have all the numbers. Manny gives us all the numbers of what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
The amount going to the insurance or going to the structure company, the amount that the client is going to get down to the penny every month, just going to magically appear into their bank
Right.
account. And then that way we're not in constructive receipt of it. But what he's saying here is that the insurance company is saying if you even know what the number is, that's constructive receipt.
And so they were on a platform of that issue for years and years and years.
Wow.
Wow.
And so it was
So you had to do the math.
yeah, we had to do the math.
you were- this
And
is
I,
like-
I never hit it on the nose, but I was close.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you had that fancy cat.
Yeah. but it was a struggle. Every case that I had, it was a fight. I mean, because some of these cases are huge.
Yeah.
Some of these cases are based just on if I pay you, then that means I'm going to pay the next guy the same
Yeah.
thing, and the next guy,
Right.
And
Right.
so they had to develop a strategy that would secure their position for a longer period of time.
Wow.
What is one thing that's kind of interesting about it that I never thought is it's kind of it's like the way government is supposed to work, right? The bicameral system, the two sides that they, everybody it's a push and pull. You have this sort of compromise. And really it is. And usually compromise may not be best for one particular person or another particular person, but as a whole, it's good. And so here you have an insurance company who's saying, hey, we can't afford to pay all of this out, but you have this need for this. And so the way that we do it is, yes, we pay less, but overall you get more. So it kind of, it's best for both worlds. And I hadn't thought about it in that sense.
Yeah, and again, it was just a matter of money,
Yeah.
I mean, if you develop a strategy from a carrier standpoint where you book less on your background sheet, you might say,
Yeah.
then you can start settling cases faster, quicker, boom, boom, with less risk, less liability, and so forth. But you start getting numbers that are real, and they didn't like it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They didn't like it. And
Did they see you coming and they were like, oh no?
Well, that was it was I was never accepted for a long, long time. Maybe I think it was almost 15 years.
Wow.
And until I met this gentleman who was running a structured settlement company that was within the circle,
Yeah.
Oh.
and
Easier in.
well, he happened to cautiously invite me to golf tournaments.
Are you good? Are you
No.
good? No. Okay.
I'm
Which is
terrible.
probably why you invite.
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. I wouldn't bet with him. This was no. I'm not a good golfer, but I accepted the invitation. We had a long conversation. He
Yeah.
says, "Hey, you're making waves here in the industry. I mean, what companies do you have access to? you know? And I said the only ones that would give me access were X companies.
Did you tell him if I told you that, then you would no longer be in constructive proceedings?
That is a good point. Long story short, he said, come join my group.
Yeah.
I'll get you all the carriers.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
And so
What was the catch? Was there a catch?
well, that I worked for him, so he would get a cut of my action.
I got it.
So he would have to deal with everybody in the industry, you know, all the presidents and the company heads and everything else. So he did. So he himself was a risk seeker. So
Well, he could see the benefit to it.
I think so.
He could see the benefit. And
Well, you know, I mean, I was growing the business from my end. You know, let's assume I started at, 1 million and I was up to 40 million, you know. So you compound that towards 20 Manny Valdez's in the country.
Yeah.
30.
Yeah, right.
And that's how the actual industry has evolutionized. Now, the brokerage companies now are like 50-50.
yeah.
What do you? No, I don't know what that means.
Half.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Got it.
and some of them go both ways.
Yeah.
So the brokers go both ways, and they're acceptable, to the industry because the industry has changed over 50 years.
Right,
50
right.
years.
Well, what's kind of wild about it is, some of the stuff I was writing some notes down before this, and one of the things I thought about is, as highlighting the MC Hammer story.
Oh, right.
Is you got this money, now don't lose it. And then part of this, and I'm going to make some adjustments, but how a good attorney and how a good structured settlement broker walks the client through well beyond the day the settlement check comes in, right? And that's, for me, this is what was, the money, of course, it's this sexy thing. Oh, the money, it's kind of it's an interesting point. But for me, what's cool is just the impact, the positive impact that it has on all of these people, right? Because it isn't easy.
Right.
Right? The easiest thing to do, as you know, is sign there, I'll deposit the check, and we go. Because walk us through the process of, let's say I come to you and I call a few months before, I say, hey, Manny, I got a case, I think it's going to settle. It's going to be around X amount. This is the person. Can you talk to him? Can you describe what this is? Because it's a little wild, right? You're saying, hey, sir, I know you've been through all of this, but you're not going to get this money. It's going to come to you every month for the rest of your life, right? It's hard to believe. But so walk us through that process on your end of things.
Okay. Well, when I do get a case, of course, we open up a case file and we target the date or mediation or any other things that need to transpire. If we have a serious injury, we ask for a medical report.
Yeah.
And the medical report is submitted to carriers, and that medical report will come back to us with what we call rated ages in our industry. Those are the actuality rated age that a person has who has the injury impacts is based on the insurance company's profile for mortality.
Oh.
So if I had a 78-year-old male, normal, healthy, so forth, and you were a 40-year-old, you got 38 years.
Right.
But if you were a 40-year-old with significant quadriplegic issues, and now I can rate you to 56, 60, then the 60 to 78 period of time has been shortened significantly. So I must, as a carrier, must credit you more money for your life expectancy.
Okay.
So that the rated ages are important. And after that, then there's issues. I mean, depending on how complex the case may be. If it gets, if we're talking about a case that is very complicated, you're going to get medical reports, you're going to get experts reports of all sorts, you're going to get back and forth depots. You could have 10 to 20 to 30 depots.
Hey, so you get all of the legal and medical information?
I do not.
Oh, you don't?
I don't. But I'm just saying how the case is
the case, just
being
generally.
developed.
Oh, I
The
understand.
attorney knows all that, but
Yeah.
our position is that we get the information ready so that when it's time that there's an offer of any sorts, that offer is kind of like analyzed in present value for the benefit of the claimant. We need to know the net as well. I mean, if attorney's going to get $1 million, But after costs and so forth and so on, it's only 500,000 as an example. Then we're only working with 500. We're not
So
working with $1 million.
I think we need to talk about like costs because I think people forget about that in cases just really quickly, right? So
your typical case, you have a number. Let's say it settles for $100,000, and you had to file a lawsuit. You had to take 2 depositions. You had to hire an expert. You might have $10,000 or $15,000 in costs, right? So you get this settlement of X amount. You deduct the attorney's fees. You deduct the advance costs because it's the attorney who's paying those costs. Win, lose, or draw. You know, if you lose the case, the attorney loses that money. But so then you're looking at the difference of what is the gross settlement number and then deduct everything and what's the net that's going to go to the client. And then from that point, if depending upon what you do, you could have some of that money go straight to the client, and you can structure the rest of it. You can all of it get structured. So, and to give an example, you know, a big one that Manny and I had, we structured for a client $6 million, right? $6 million, and over a 30 or 32 year time period, so what it means is he never comes into constructive receipt of that $6 million. He doesn't see it.
okay.
It's just a number on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And then we have to sign a bunch of other things because there's no like quid pro quo, right? You're not getting, you're not signing a release and getting the money for it. So you have to sign some extra things that essentially saying, hey, I know I'm not getting this money up front, but it is coming to me. And so then that $6 million over the term of 30 or 32 years ends up being like a total amount of like $14 million.
Oh, wow.
Double tax-free.
And tax free.
Oh, really?
So you're not paying. So I think it was like you could earn $300,000 a year because it's a monthly payment. You could earn $300,000 a year, and yet at the end of the year, you're not paying taxes on that.
So can they change the terms? Like if you're saying somebody, it's, for the next 30 years, that's kind of a long time. And things change, and who knows, can you?
That's the one thing is you can't.
No, really?
But here's what comes down to, you got this money, now don't lose it. One thing I want to talk about is, this is one of the power things. Because I have people that come to me, and what I do is I'll send them to Manny or Son to talk to them. But my big thing is this. Hey, the moment you get a big settlement, quote unquote big, that could be $10,000, that could be, $2 million. The moment you get that, every friend and family member you knew or didn't know you have is going to be asking you for money, right? There's another thing I say is Chris Rock. Chris Rock has a little bit where he says, people ask you for $5 for $20. People come to me and they say, hey, can I borrow $20,000? And they're like, he's like, $20,000. They say, you're rich, you can afford it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the tagline that gets people to think about it.
Yeah.
It's
right.
the MC Hammer effect. And I mean, not to pick on MC Hammer, the poor guy.
Right, poor guy.
But that, how do you save the money?
Right.
Well, that's the strategy. When you were commenting for 30 years, I mean, it scares people. You're going to lock it up for 30 years.
Right.
But the plan is, first of all, the $300,000 a year. Mm-hmm. What do you do with the $300,000 a year?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's tax-free. Now, you can start your investment plan with that. You
Right.
can, do whatever you need to plan. Now, times 30 years.
Yeah.
Now, if you make a mistake, the next year it's coming again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, you can mix a monthly, an annual payment with a lump sum. So you can say, I'll take 100, but every year I want another 100 in one check.
The world is your oyster.
Oh, so you can
world
say
is your
like,
oyster.
okay, every 5 years, I want to get 100,000 in addition to my 300.
That's correct.
Just so I get like a little boost.
That's
give
correct.
myself a raise.
Okay, you can even add inflation to it.
Oh,
I want 100
okay.
the first 3 years and 150 in 6 years. I want 100, 200.
Wow.
So you can design these things in any way, shape, or form.
Have you ever designed one that was especially weird? Or maybe I shouldn't say weird, unusual, something where you're like, I never looked at it that way.
Well-
Does anything come to mind?
Well, I've got a lot of cases under my belt, so I can't tell you that one that stands out, but I can certainly tell you the ones that have lost out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good.
People they get influenced quickly.
Oh. By like family.
everybody. I don't care who it is. If it's a young 17-year-old, it's the boy. If it's a young 22-year-old, it's the friend in college. If it's, I mean, things just transpire when it deals with money.
Yeah.
It's
It's insane.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
it's
yeah.
almost like the worst thing you can do as an attorney is get somebody money without doing anything beyond that.
That's correct.
To help prepare them.
Well, it's like people who win the lottery, right? There's that whole thing.
Yeah.
There's that whole thing where there's like a show, right? Like
Yeah.
winning the lottery ruined my life or whatever it is.
Right.
I think there's a podcast about it. So anyway,
But yes,
Right.
that's exactly the point. I'll bet you I can't give you a handful of people with any substantial amount of money that, were taking lump sums that still have it.
really,
Yeah, oh yeah. And I'm
they just
talking-
blow it. Oh, tell us about what is it Manny or Manny Jr. who say about the 5K?
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
It's a-
we had
Oh, it's your son.
we had
I think this is great.
this was years ago, and it was like I think he was 20 years old at the time, and so I was really concerned. I did not want this kid having a dime, right? I was like, no, we're saving. You're not walking out of here. You're gonna have to get a judge to get your money if you're not going to listen to us on this one, because we're giving you something here, and we're not going to allow outside influences. His brain is not developed.
Right.
And so we go to sit down in the Manny's office. It's this beautiful office. We're at the conference table, and his son is sitting across, and it was, I think, the first time I'd worked with your son. And he's sitting there and says, plaintiff, oh, this is great. This is, I think, what we can do. And the plaintiff's mother's there. Manny Jr. is explaining it all. And he says, well, and so what you're going to do is you should take $5,000. You should take money. You should take $5,000. You should go to Vegas. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's going to tell a joke. And then I realize he's not joking. He's telling my guy to take $5,000 and go to Vegas. And he says, I want you to go gamble it, spend it. And I'm ready to reach over and punch him in the nose. This is not why I brought him here.
Yeah.
And then he says, kicker, dun, dun, dun. You're going to spend that in 30 minutes, and you're going to see just how precious that money is and how
quickly it
can go
goes.
away.
Yeah.
And I almost hugged him right there.
Yeah.
We walked out, and I was telling the client, I was like, man, what did you think of that? Right? There you go. Because that's the thing.
Just like MC Hammer and the 70 million, like what, go on.
Here's the
Guy's
thing is,
broke.
so put yourself in that position.
Right.
Right? Maybe you didn't come from money. No one has ever told you about finance. No one has ever told you how to deal with this.
Right.
And you like people. You want to help.
Right.
So you have all of these others who are taking advantage of you. And they're going to come up, just a little bit. Just give me a little bit here and a little bit here and a little bit here. Well, every one of those 200 employees of MC Hammer took just a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
And they left them with nothing.
Right.
And so, and we're looking at it, how can you take this and view it as, hey, this is a great opportunity.
Right.
And the wild thing is it's out of loss. You're here. You're not here because you won the lottery.
Right.
You're not here because you had ambition and you had a skill and talent that others don't.
Right.
You're here because you got hurt and it wasn't your fault.
Right.
Somebody took something from you. And so how can us, Manny as the broker, me as the attorney, sit here and say, okay, we're gonna get you compensated, but beyond that, we want to make sure that you get the most out of you squeeze every drop out of that money. Mm-hmm. And so one example I was thinking about earlier was we had one guy who, he had, I think it was, the different structures. I think it was like 6 or 8, because what he did, he had 3 kids. They were kind of young, and he wanted to basically have enough for when they were college age.
Oh,
And
that's
so what
smart.
we did is that we mapped out, I had an Excel spreadsheet with their ages, the school years, about how much college was going to cost
Right.
in the future. And we said for each year, we had the number going across. The first year, it's only 1 kid. But at one point, there was like 2 kids in college.
Yeah.
And so every July, when his kids are that age, boom, he's going to have this lump sum tax-free that dumps into his bank account.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, and we've had a financial planner tell us this one. It may seem painful right now, but the future you is going to thank
Right.
the present you. And I can guarantee that when those big lump sums hit,
Yeah.
and he's got 2 or 3 kids in college, he's going to say, thank you, past me.
That's right. That's correct. And you know, any further, just to compound just kind of the issue in regards to people that you need to be surrounded by.
Yeah.
You'd be really surprised in regards to other people in the financial world that will also come out of the woodwork.
And what do you mean? Like,
Well, you know, people that they get introduced to, or you know, two or three other financial.
Every friend or family member you knew or didn't know you have.
Yeah.
They
no,
just
but other
attracted
financial
to
people too?
Oh yeah, it happens all the time.
Oh.
You know, first of all, I was also a stockbroker before that as well. So, and I didn't like it. That's why I got out of that, because people in the market goes down, and you're losing money for your client.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel right for me. It
Right.
just didn't feel proper. So I got out of there. But the issue really had to deal with the timing of the expectations, where I'm going to give you $1 and I'm going to make you $100,000 for that dollar because we're going to invest in X.
Yeah.
Well, let's see here. Maybe Buffett could do that, or, you know, or somebody like that.
Right.
But the reality is that they get so involved in sharing how much more money they're going to have.
Oh.
The real issue has to deal with your present value needs and your caring. What are you going to eat with? What are you going to drink with? How are you going to drive around? Do you need a wheelchair? Do you need a caretaker? I mean, how many kids you have? I mean, how are you going to take care of your wife and your families? There's more to it than just saying, I need $10,000.
Yeah.
There's depth to it.
Right.
And without that depth, you know, you don't even have a just thing about thinking about, hey, I really truly need this. So let's protect what we got.
Let's
Right.
That's what we got. What this makes me think about is that, you know, think about when you first started, the defense side broker for these structures. Is that guy going through this sort of thought process that we are?
Oh, no.
Is he saying, oh, what are you going to need for your daily life? What do you need for this? It's hard. And what it takes somebody on your side who has your back, and somebody on your side who's your friend. And I'm not talking about your financial friend.
Right.
I'm talking about somebody who's going to say, hey, you know, maybe don't wear those socks with that pants. Or, you know, somebody's going to be brutally honest with it. And they're
Right.
going to say, hey, I'm telling you this because it's what you need to hear.
Right.
And maybe you don't want to do it, but I want you to think about it into the future. We have one shot. We have this one opportunity.
You only get one shot.
You only get one shot.
Do not miss your chance.
Yet, but for real, but
You're right. Again, you're right on point, because on the defense side, all he's concerned about is his adjuster and the money.
Yeah.
Right.
How much money I'm going to pay out? What's going to take for me to plan?
Right.
I'm the one that does all the work.
Right.
I have to meet with my client. I have to see what their needs are. I have to plan out their needs.
Right.
And then I'm going to back into it. I'm going to say, we need X dollars over his life expectancy date.
Yeah.
And then we'll take the difference and you can give them to your broker,
Yeah.
Right.
or do what you want. I also talk about with brokers, you know, I said, look, you should always call us in, because we could develop a plan together where lump sums are going to be paid out periodically. And guess who's going to be knocking on the door of your client? You.
Yeah.
So you could investment over a period of time, which is
Right.
called dollar cost averaging. So those strategies are part of a plaintiff broker's overall should be tactics versus if you're on the defense side.
Yeah.
Well, I really like that you have to it sounds like you really have to get to know someone, because you have to know kind of like their lifestyle, who their family is, like what some goals are.
Right.
What do they already have that they the homes or what they're paying for, so that you can help them plan.
Listen, think about if you're a professional, you're making $200,000 a year net, and all of a sudden you're in an accident, and you have a high lifestyle. You have your house payment is $20,000 a month,
Right.
whatever. Then what?
House payment.
Yeah.
Then what do you do?
Yeah,
I mean, you're driving a brand new car,
Right.
2 cars,
Right,
3
right.
cars.
Yeah.
You know, and so all those are complicated calculations that no one would really even attempt to do, because you're going to give them a shock. You're going to say, oh my God, what do I do now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't save enough.
Right.
My retirement plan just started.
Right.
And pretty soon, the money that you're getting from the structured settlement You took cash,
Yeah.
thinking you're going to afford this for the next 20 years.
Right.
Now you're selling your house, your cars.
Oh.
You're probably going to get a divorce.
Right.
You know, because of the
Gosh.
struggles that happens.
Right.
Honestly, it's just a
Well, no, but tying it back to the beginning of the MC Hammer story.
Right.
Imagine the pain that he would have gone through.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if we just take a moment and just think about, like, yeah, you can sit there and say, hey, this is a guy that lost $70 million. But he didn't lose it. He was giving it to his friends and family. And then at one point, this lifestyle that he was living, now it's just like crushed. And so, but how do you avoid that? And I think what I'm hearing, and what I kind of knew, but it's backing up more, is it's not just one person. It's not just you're finding the right attorney. It's not just finding an attorney who's going to care. It's finding the right broker like Manny, who you have a team of people who are working hard and taking extra steps in order to look at your future and say, is this hand in hand? You know, you're not
Right.
dictating it to somebody. You give them a bunch of options. The typical sort of structure, Manny will give me 8 to 15 options.
Oh, my
But I can
goodness.
go to the client and say, hey, I know I feel bad for you because you're the one who's got to make this decision.
Right.
But the beauty is every decision is right.
And and more recently, it's come up, and I've noticed it in the industry, everywhere in the industry, but mainly in certain jurisdictions, where the attorney is advising their clients to receive payments prior to the settlement of the case from a company that brokers loans.
Oh.
Those are some. That's a loan that bites.
Yeah, well,
That's a loan that bites.
and here's the point: if you are entitled to $300,000 net after costs and so forth, after you borrow money for 2.5 years, your net's going to be $50,000.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Right. Oh, yeah. Those are because it's super high interest, right?
Oh yeah, super high.
Right.
But and the funny thing, not even funny, it's just kind of concerning, is that attorneys are recommending that because clients are insisting that because they don't want to suffer through the pain of waiting for a period of time.
Right.
And if they don't cooperate, then they're going to find another attorney who will.
Right.
And maybe that's in my sense, what I would do is I'd say perhaps you should find another attorney.
That's
Perhaps
right.
I'm not the best person for you, because I think what we're looking at here is how do we keep the money that you have, and it's that you have to work harder. You have to go beyond what the next attorney will do. You have to have a team, and you kind of have to have that forward-looking approach to it of saying, out of this bad thing, how can we make something good out of that?
Yeah.
And I think what we covered today is this is pretty wild, Manny. I knew you had a cool story, but I didn't realize that
I
you
know.
were the one. Because for us right now, structured settlements are just a way of this industry.
Yeah.
And so I got to say thank you.
Well,
And not just thank you to me, not just thank you from Carrie, but thank you for all of the clients that we're able to help, because we're able to help so much.
well, I've been really totally blessed.
Oh,
Literally.
you worked hard. So do the clients find you, or you always come from the attorney?
Mostly from the attorney.
From the
Yeah, I would say
attorney.
90.
Oh, and do you have a website just in case?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah. And
What is your website?
you have to ask my son.
Well, maybe we can put it in the show notes or something.
Yeah, put it in the show. Yeah, he's
Okay.
I'm not very
Manny
good.
Jr., he's the tech
I'm not
guy.
very good about technical
You have
stuff.
other
I'm
skills.
I just want to just talk to people and get
Yeah.
my job done.
That's
you know?
right.
Making it done.
That's right.
Well, Manny, I want to thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time. We
this
took
is
too much of
cool.
your time.
Thank you.
And again, thank you for listening or watching. This is Unseen Impact, where we look at the unseen aspect of personal injury. I think this one in particular was close to my heart just because of the idea of, all of this money and what becomes of it. And I think it's not that easy. And in fact, in some senses, I think when somebody gets the opportunity for money like this, it can be a real burden. It can be a burden unless you have good people around you.
Strong team.
A strong team and friends that will know what it can help you through and figure out the best thing for you. So thanks for watching. Remember to rate, review, subscribe. You can watch us on now Spotify and of course YouTube, and you can listen to us on any of the podcast platforms. Manny, thanks. Carrie, thanks.
Thank
See
you.
next time.
Thank
Thank you.